Over this series of videos, I'll be breaking down what I consider to be the 5 best and the 5 worst episodes from each season of Star Trek The Next Generation. For a more detailed breakdown of every single episode, you can check out my podcast linked in the video description below. For me, Season 4 has been the most difficult season to create these best and worst lists. The show is settling into a comfort zone, and while that creates a season-long run of shows that are of a consistent quality, it also means that the heights reached in Season 3 aren't quite as frequent here. Season 3 had tremendous highs and extreme lows, and while Season 4 is steadier overall, that means that it trends more towards the median. The very best and the very worst of this season are much less removed in terms of quality from the other episodes, for better and for worse. That said, let's take a look at the 5 worst episodes from the 4th season of TNG. Number 5. Galaxy's Child.
I offered you friendship.
A running theme of Season 4 was to couple a science fiction B story with a character-based A story. The show's growing interest in fleshing out the cast of characters combined with the science fiction, non-serialized format resulted in a few odd episodes where the sci-fi plot outshined the character work. Galaxy's Child is a prime example of this problem. The space ravioli is a neat idea, and Picard's devastation at having killed the creature's mother is excellent character work. On the other hand, we get Geordi at his absolute worst. After meeting the real version of his holodeck fantasy, Geordi goes full creep mode and then ends the episode by somehow turning the tables on the woman he's been stalking and fetishizing. It's uncomfortable writing, and the character arc of Geordi being a hapless virgin continues to be one of the show's worst ideas. Number 4. Final Mission.
If you want to get out of this, I suggest you listen to Captain Picard. He's the one who's going to keep us alive.
Thank you, that's enough.
Will Wheaton's final appearance as a regular cast member is, like the character himself, a weak and unmemorable affair. Before heading off to Starfleet Academy, Wesley Crusher accompanies Captain Picard on a comically dangerous mission, which of course results in Picard becoming incapacitated, forcing Wesley to yet again save the day. The show never understood what to do with Wesley's character, and the final appearance of him only reinforces that fact. Even the emotional goodbye between Picard and Wesley falls flat. After watching the rest of the season, you hardly even notice that Wesley is gone, and that pretty much sums up the problem. Number 3. Identity Crisis.
We always made a good team.
A hell of a team.
Season 4 was not a good year for Geordi. Galaxy's Child was a mess in regards to understanding how to write a lead character's story with any sort of respect. Identity Crisis is a different kind of problem. A high-concept idea uses Geordi as the lead, and because the episode is completely disinterested in his characterization, it feels detached from the rest of the series. I usually like high-concept episodes, but Identity Crisis doesn't work very well. Geordi's transformation into an alien creature stretches the suspension of disbelief, and the using new characters to act as Geordi's old friends serves no real purpose. One saving grace of the episode is the fact that Geordi using the holodeck to solve a mystery is fantastic, and something that the show should have done much more frequently than it actually did. Number 2. The Loss.
Is this how you handle all your personnel problems?
Another example of a poor character story colliding with a decent sci-fi plot, The Loss has Troy lose her empathic powers as a result of the Enterprise being caught up in a group of two-dimensional aliens that are on a collision course with a cosmic string. The big issue with this episode, besides the fact that it turns Troy into a shrieking hysteric, is the relatability of the problem being explored. Troy losing her empathic powers turns her into a normal human being. As an audience member, this is a difficult story to grasp onto, because none of us can conceive of having her Betazoid abilities. We can relate to stories where a character loses something that we currently have, because it gives us emotional insight into how and why the characters might react in certain ways. The Loss has no such connection with the viewer, leading to a boring examination of a Betazoid having to come to terms with losing her abilities. Oh, and she solves the problem of the aliens in a way that is completely unrelated to the problem she's combated all episode, and that's just bad writing. Number 1. Cupid.
Sir, I protest. I am not a merry man.
I don't care much for the story of Robin Hood. While that might have an impact on how much I dislike this episode, the majority of the issues come from the fact that it reverts the Q character back to a simplistic trickster. As a follow-up to Captain's Holiday, Cupid brings back the character Vash. Unfortunately, while the adventure of Captain's Holiday worked as a one-off, Cupid's attempt at comedy is ridiculous and uninteresting. I prefer Q episodes that use the character's powers as a way to examine ethics and morality. No such lesson happens here, despite Q's claims that he's helping Picard find true love. This is nonsense because it's not even clear that Vash cares for Picard at all. Add to this the underwhelming story of a trip to Sherwood Forest, and you have one of the dumbest plots that the show has ever done. It's not just poorly thought out, it's poorly executed. It turns our cast into a bunch of buffoons and relies on the gimmick of dress-up to hold our attention. Cupid is the worst episode of the 4th season of Star Trek The Next Generation. What did you think the worst episode of the 4th season was? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a nice day.